Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Tandi Souley. I am a professor in the Department of Organizational Leadership. I coordinate the Higher Education Leadership Program, and I am happy to serve as a faculty fellow for the graduate school. Welcome to today's workshop, Beyond the Books. OU Services for Graduate Students. The workshop is a part of our professional development series, and the series is designed to provide you with the skills and tools needed to navigate graduate school as well as your professional career. So today we are delighted, very delighted to welcome a panel who are representing some of the most essential services here at Oakland University. I'm going to give you a brief introduction. We have Dr. Sherry Wynn Perdue. She serves as a director of our writing center, as well as serving as a co-editor for the Writing Center Journal. We have Mr. Charlie Dimmock. Uh, Charlie is a graduate assistant for our Golden Grizzlies Pantry, and he's also pursuing a master's degree in psychology. We have Nicole Bulk. Nicole is a director of financial aid and scholarships, and she has over 20 years of experience in higher education. We have Jesse Hurst, who is serving as the interim dean for students and the deputy Title IX coordinator here at Oakland University. And then we have Dr. David Swartz, who is a clinical psychologist in our counseling center and is actually serving as a director of our counseling center here at OU. So, what is going to happen is that I'm going to serve as your moderator, but we also have a co-moderator. Madison McDonald will also be moderating, and Madison is serving as a graduate assistant in the Department of Organizational Leadership, and she's also a graduate student in the counseling department. So each of our panelists are going to speak for a few minutes about the work that they do. They're going to talk about what their job entails, how their unit serves graduate students. They're going to explain any policy or practice updates that uniquely affect graduate students. They're going to discuss the process, for utilizing their unit services, and they're going to share any other information that they feel is relevant for you as a graduate student. So with that, we are going to start with our first panelist, and that is Dr. Sherry Wynn Perdue.
Well, I'm honored to be here on this panel today with so many distinguished campus servant leaders. And I thank Dr. Souley for putting this together and the grad assistants for the work that they're doing too. This is like coming home. When I first came on as the assistant director of the Writing Center in 2006, I was very aware of the challenges that grad students faced as writers, the assumption that because you had done an undergraduate degree, you just knew how to write for your major. And as a rhetorician, I knew that wasn't true. Many of us internalize over years of being in disciplines, especially, our faculty, the roles of their discipline. And good writing isn't good writing isn't good writing. It's good writing in a specific discipline and for a specific purpose. And I would have people come in and tell me that they had been working on their proposals for their master's theses and dissertations for years. Sometimes they would bring Red Wolf files full of things. I met with a nursing, no, with a nurse, and she was in a program, and she took a cart. She looked like she worked in the library, and she brought in all these files. And I said, okay, let's start with what is your project? And it was a contemporary nursing perspective on, the way we frame nursing today. And I then started looking at her literature review, and I realized that she had felt compelled to go all the way back to Florence Nightingale, not because she was contrasting perspectives of how we frame nursing, but because her understanding was that you had to do it all. And I developed services starting then where, and you guys will laugh, we've known campus closures, but back then sometimes people had to get their things into faculty before the end of a semester and the campus might close. And I met in the outer areas of buildings that were still open. I met in coffee shops locally if the library wasn't open because we didn't have Zoom in the way that we do now. And that service grew. And I just took a look today before I came in. And I'm proud and fortunate because I get as much out of it as I provide that I have worked with over 500 graduate students at Oakland University alone. Now, I'm not saying I've worked more than one time with all of them, but in several cases, I worked with people for months. And I'm really proud to say that that very frustrated graduate student defended her proposal 6 weeks later. I helped her I took a whole set of her Redwells, put it on the bottom shelf, and I said, these can be doorstops, whatever. We looked at her proposal and what she was really doing, went to the lit review and then the plan. And that was the beginning of a series of programs for graduate students that include, at different times, supervision fellowship for faculty so that they would better understand the relationship they can hone with their students. Sit down and write, which is a boot camp of sorts. It's just don't love that, military metaphor. So we call ours sit down and write, where we get graduate students together, like tasked people who are, facing the same challenges. And we start by talking a little bit about what we're facing, what we want to accomplish, sharing our goals, making them public so they're accountable, and then writing. And during those sessions, we were able to give people food, and we did that for several years, every Saturday, every other Saturday of the month, and for a full day. During COVID, we had gotten to the point where we needed 2 rooms. We got up to almost 40 people at a time. During COVID, it got interrupted, and we were able to transform it using the Pomodoro method, and we shortened it up and we moved it online. And yes, it was a smaller group. And then when we came back to campus, we rebooted and we took a semester off because I had a smaller staff. But we're planning on launching it again in the winter semester, and we're gonna, be polling students about times and dates that work for them. So my first question was, what does your job entail? It entails having my finger on the pulse of all that is right, WRITE, on campus, and trying to situate myself in the conversation, trying to determine where there are gaps, and finding partners who will work with me. We're siloed. I did a PhD in educational leadership, and one of the things you learn is that we work in loosely coupled systems. And that allows people to do really good things, but not be aware of what other really good things others are doing. And to kind of lose that sense of community and how we can leverage each other's gifts and talents on behalf of a larger community. And so that's become my goal. We try to serve graduate students from the moment they get accepted to beyond the time that they defend their degrees, meaning that I have written letters on behalf of people who have finished their PhDs when they've gone on to move into new positions or to try for academic jobs, because apart from their committee, I probably know their work as well as anyone else and what they're doing. We do have policies. We allow grad students to schedule appointments 3 times a week. And those appointments, you guys, they can be from your car. They can be from the writing center itself. They can be from your home. We learned before COVID that people needed to be able to be met where they were. If your Zoom's not working, we move to something else. If your camera doesn't work, that's okay. If we often will log into a document together. If we can't talk, we'll text. I mean, we try to make it work. And what we found that works the most is forming a relationship where we're meeting regularly with somebody on a project to support them throughout that. And we've seen so much growth. Um, we do have a policy uh, that people let us know if they can't come, because we want to make that time available to others. And it's unfortunately this semester we had to shorten up our time from an hour to 45 minutes 3 times a week because of staffing issues and demand. We're really hoping, and if you know people who are excellent communicators and they're good coaches, please let them know if they don't already have assistantships. That's why I couldn't hire Maddie here, who is an assistantship in the department, because we are looking for more graduate students to serve in that role. The process for utilizing our services, I have put in the chat a document that we keep the same link so you can bookmark it, and it's called This Semester in the Writing Center for Graduate Students. It's always the same link. We update the information, and in there you will find a schedule of when graduate appointments are available, a link to our online scheduler, which is what we use to host our appointments. It overviews the type of programming that we offer, like Sit Down and Write, and workshops. One of the things I know Maddie's going to ask me about, so I won't address it now, is just Gen AI, and we've done a workshop on that. All of you probably face the task of writing a lit review, whether it's part of a dissertation or it's part of a paper. You might want to try to get published. We've brought speakers in who can help you envision the process of drafting a course paper and then revising it for publication. And we also have all the help documents you might need if you've never had to get help online before. Like, how do I log in? What are some of the things I need to know? What's the best way to share my document? And I started with the last question, which is the rationale, because I really thought that was the most important one. But I wanted to come back to it. When I was a graduate student, writing wasn't hard for me. In fact, I just breezed through my undergrad, my master's, and my PhD, and did not expect to be brought up short while writing my dissertation. And I kept writing and rewriting and reframing. I didn't understand that there's a point when you kind of have to force yourself to stop revising your plan and reading new stuff. And I let my project get bigger and bigger. And I had a book project with my professor. And this was at a time when grad students did grad school as a full-time job. It was a different environment, right? So I'm not trying to make it sound like, I'm Lake Wobegon and the best and the brightest. I wasn't. And my chair just, people didn't understand that you can study supervision and being a chair in the same way you can study your projects. And I really struggled. And I didn't finish on time. And and it was humiliating. I'd helped all these other people and I wasn't getting mine done. And I learned through the process of going through that. And trust me, the second time I did a PhD program, those things didn't happen. And I've used what I learned about that faculty relationship and about the kinds of life happens things that your faculty might tell you not to do this, but we're real humans. We do get married, we do get sick, we do get pulled up short. We realize what we thought we wanted to argue isn't there. And what I just wanted to end on was to let you know that my rationale is that you are humans. You're not a monolith. There is really good research out there that tells us some of the best practices that we can adopt to better meet you where you are. And that is a central goal of the Writing Center. And so please, if you haven't yet used us in that link, you will find a way to make an appointment to get scheduled, to get an account and get scheduled. And we even have some appointments still open this week. So we are open. We never closed during the campus closure. The only days we closed were Thanksgiving and those 2 days after. And we will be open through Thursday night. So take a look and consider it. And I also want you to know the Writing Center is not a place for struggling writers. A lot of people think that's what it's about. Sure, we have struggling writers, but I would never, ever send anything out without having some of the fine people that worked for me read my work, give me feedback, serve as my first audience. So the Writing Center and having a second set of eyes and ears, that's good practice. And if you don't have that in your community, if you're not in a cohort, you don't have someone, you do now. So thank you.
Thank you. I learned a few things. I can't wait till we get to the Q&A. I'm wondering if you if you provide a service for faculty.
We do.
You do? Okay.
I sure do. And I'd be happy to grow more services like writing groups for faculty.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Thank you. We'll have our Q&A once everyone presents. Thank you so much for that. Charlie?
Hello, hello. As Professor or Dr. Souley said, I'm the manager of the Golden Grizzlies Pantry, and I've had the honor of doing that for almost 2 months now. It's been an incredible journey, and I'm so excited to speak about it. So thank you for giving me this opportunity today. And as a graduate student, I'm also so grateful to be here to learn more about the services that OU just has to offer in general. So thank you for just having me here. So just to begin, I'd like to give a historical overview of the Golden Grizzlies Pantry, just to give us like a baseline. So the pantry was, I believe, started in 2018 by the Office for Student Involvement in collaboration with the social work program. And research and data have shown time and time again that so many people experience food insecurity, especially college students at some point. So our main mission is just to provide food assistance and just related basic need support for members of the OU community that involves students such as undergraduate and graduate students, alumni, staff, faculty. Anyone involved in our OU community is who we serve. So specifically what the pantry offers is food, hygiene products, and business casual and winter clothing for students. And our main goal is just to reduce barriers and that interfere with student success. And that involves like hunger and stress. And then we also do a lot of coordination of donations and inventory management, so much organization. Oh my goodness. And distribution logistics. So that includes like accepting donations of both non-perishable and perishable food items, as we have two refrigerators that we have gotten in the past couple of years, which is so cool. Because we have a lot of resources that are perishable items that students love to take. So that's great. And also, it's important to note that in the past year, we've seen a huge increase in the utilization of our services, which is awesome to see. So donations wise, since 2024, we've gone from 20,000 pounds distributed to 27.5 thousand pounds distributed, which is a huge increase in distribution. And thankfully, we've been able to match that with our donation totals. So we've gone from 20,000 pounds donated to 30,000, which, oh my goodness, this increase in donations is just so incredible to see. And my staff has been doing the best job ever of making sure that our shelves remain stocked and beautiful. And that includes volunteers as well. We love having volunteers come in. And if any of you are ever interested in volunteering for us, just go onto our website. We've got a cool Google Calendar where you're able to sign up for like an hour-long time slot to volunteer with us. We love and need volunteers now more than ever. Just based on those numbers, you can tell. And due to the increase in this volume in donations, we're definitely in need of a larger space. So we're looking forward to moving into the old gear shop space along with the OSI. So over the summer, we were forced to relocate into the Lake Michigan room. I'm sure many of you know, which is a temporary space from our old space, which was room 42 in the Oakland Center. And this relocation, a lot of people are pessimistic about it, but I'm an eternal optimist, and I see this as like a blessing in disguise, because we went from 700 square feet in that last space. We're currently at 900 square feet, and then we're going to have 1,175 square feet in our new space, which is like a 63.2% increase from our old space, which is so cool to see. So this is going to really boost donations and distributions to numbers we have never seen before, and I'm so excited to be just a part of what's to come. And so as for the question of how does my unit serve graduate students, the pantry is, as I said, open to any current Oakland University community member and alumni as well. And because the food pantry offers food, hygiene, and essential supplies for free and just without requirement for income verification, it can be really, really beneficial for graduate students who may be working part-time or have limited income or face other financial pressures because a lot of the time, as Sherry said, like our our positions aren't full time. We have other obligations. So really by helping to ensure that these basic needs are met, the pantry really just works to support graduate students' ability to focus on classes and research, focusing less stress or reducing stress related to just financial or food insecurity overall. And although we don't have like any policy or like practice updates that may uniquely affect graduate students, it's important to note that next semester we're going to be open until 6 p.m. on Mondays, because this past semester we've only been able to stay open until 5 p.m. just based on our staff's schedules. But I think that having a day where just people can come in and shop after their 9 to 5 jobs is something that I, as a manager and a graduate student, really value and wanted to incorporate. And if anyone here has questions about our hours, I recommend checking out our Instagram over anything else. We post a lot of our modified hours on there, such as like next week's exam week schedule and like this week's schedule, because a couple of our student staff members haven't been able to come in due to exam week. We're fully like student run. So you can check out those or just our general semester hours on our website. Once this is all over, I can quickly link our website in the chat. And then as for the utilization of our services, we are truly so easy to utilize, and we're trying to just break down barriers as much as possible. So I'll just do a like quick rundown just to get everyone in the loop so you can just hop right in and use the pantry already looking like you know what you're doing, or for people who are here to kind of learn more about services for students, hopefully you guys can pass the word along. So for first-time shoppers, our student assistants will really just help you get set up with an account, which takes like less than 3 minutes. They'll just ask you for your first and then your last name, and it doesn't have to be your first or it doesn't have to be your real first or last name. It can just be something that's memorable in case you forget your card. And you may be like, what is your card? So speaking of your card, you'll be given a Forgotten Harvest card, which just has like a unique number combination on the back so we can better track our monthly visits and visitor numbers, that kind of thing. And it's, again, super quick and easy. And then once you're registered, new or returning shoppers can just come into the pantry, take a bag. We've got so many bags. And shop for whatever items they need, no questions asked. So we're a completely anonymous service. We try to only get information that we really, really need for like data purposes. And then at checkout, you place items on a scale. Then you use the iPad to fill out the checkout form for recording the weight of your items. So again, we can get those numbers for like donations and distributions. And then when it comes to the cost of our services, everything is free. So food, hygiene products, clothing items, whatever it is, it's all yours for free. And it's also important to note that you don't need an appointment to show up to the pantry. I know that I mentioned like you need an appointment to volunteer. Cannot be said about actually just coming in to utilize our services. Feel free to come in during any of our hours that we're open. Again, just checking out our website or our Instagram for hours. And so other information or background, rationale, that kind of thing. I did want to mention that our services are still available with everything that's going on, just like how the Writing Center is still available. Just note that only one entrance to the OC is open right now. I know that there have been so many campus communications over the past week, and we are so appreciative of that. But it might have gotten like lost in the sauce a little bit with all the like locked buildings and things like that. So I'd just like to point out that the OC is open from, I believe, 8 to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, at least next week. I don't know about the weekends. We aren't open on the weekends, so we don't have to worry about that. But during the week, OC is open 8 to 5. Our hours kind of vary within those hours. And you can come in from the northeast entrance of the OC near P2 facing O'Dowd Hall, kind of close to Wilson Hall. I'm kind of bad at explaining directions, but if you have any questions about it, just let me know. And so this is the entrance near the gold rooms. So if you need that information again, or just any additional information regarding like our modified hours, just check out our Instagram page. We've got everything there, especially like in our post description. It just gives you directions. So check that out. Our Instagram is just Golden Grizzlies Pantry. Pretty easy to remember, considering it's just our name. And then also, it's important to note as well that we're going to be closed during the semester break. So if you want to utilize our services at that time, um, I'm sorry, but we're not going to be open. However, we are putting together grab bags with like just common essential item. Oh, thank you for that, Maddie. I appreciate it. So we're going to be putting together essential item grab bags. So like toilet paper, soups, paper towel, um, just ramen noodles, macaroni and cheese, things like that. And so if you're interested in getting one of those bags, again, our Instagram has like a link tree where you can sign up and check out that Google form, selecting dietary restrictions, whatever it is. Our student staff is very on it. So you will have a bag as soon as possible. I think the form closes noon next Tuesday. So if you're interested in getting a grab bag or telling any students about it, just know that the form will close next Tuesday, and then people are able to pick up those grab bags from Wednesday until Friday of next week. And if you have any questions about any of this, feel free to email us. As Maddie just entered into the chat, our website has our email, our hours, things like that. And yeah, thank you so much for letting me speak today. I really appreciate it a lot.
Thank you so much. I'm learning. I'm learning a lot. I've been hearing about the pantry for a couple of years, so it's really great to get this like in-depth information about how it operates. And I'm glad to hear that it has recovered from there was a flood. Yeah, so it's doing really well. So thanks for that. I have some questions. See, I'm gonna follow up. Nicole.
Let me move this top thing here so you can see my presentation. But good morning, everyone. As Dr. Tande had indicated earlier, my name is Nicole Bulk. I'm the Director of Financial Aid and Scholarships here on campus. And thank you all for taking time out of your Saturday to come and learn more about the ways in which we are supporting graduate students on campus. I'm sure you all have heard or read information in the news recently about legislative changes come July 1st, 2026, that will be impacting graduate education. And so I want to talk a little bit with you about that today. But before I get started in that, I also do want to just make sure you are aware of what all we do out of the Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships. So of course, we are available to help with financial aid application, understanding your financial aid offers. But in addition to that, we also are responsible for student employment on campus. And so if you are hired into a student employee position on campus, you will work with our office to submit paperwork so that we can get you all ready to work within the university. And then of course, my office is also customer service for any questions you might have related to your bill or payment or refunds, anything that has an impact on your ability to pay for school. We are available to speak with either on the phone, or if we need to switch to a virtual appointment. When the campus is open and fully operational, of course, we're available in person. And then we receive lots of emails from students. And so we do our best to respond to those in as timely a fashion as we are able. But we would like to speak with you about any question that you may have. And so we certainly want you to reach out if there's anything that you need help with as it relates to paying for school, whether that be your FAFSA, applying for scholarships, like I said, that on-campus student employment position, or any questions you may have as it relates to your bill. So there are really four main sources of financial aid funding. The first, of course, is federal aid. This has gotten the most buzz recently as it relates to graduate education because it has been historically the largest provider of graduate education financial aid funding. And so in order to be eligible for federal aid, every single year, you do have to complete a FAFSA application. They do become available. We're back on track for an October 1st launch. They actually launched a few days early this last October, or this last cycle. And so right now the FAFSA is available for the 26-27 school year. If you haven't done it, we encourage you to get that FAFSA done as quickly as possible if you'll be in attendance next fall or next winter semester, fall of 26 or winter of 27. that FAFSA does have to be done every year. And if you ever need help with doing that FAFSA, of course, you can come into the office, but we do also offer financial events. Many of these are scheduled for later in the evening hours, so 6, 7, 8 p.m., where we do help students one-on-one or in small group settings to complete those FAFSAs. Okay, now what's gotten the most buzz recently? Federal student loans. So, what isn't changing? Let's start there. What isn't changing is access to unsubsidized loans, annual loans. So, the unsubsidized loans at the graduate level, you can borrow up to $20,500 per academic year. I said what isn't changing, and that's the part of this that isn't changing. The way in which the loan function also isn't changing. That loan, because it's unsubsidized, does accrue interest while you're in school. You can pay, and we do recommend if you're able to pay the interest while you're in school that you do, but at any time you can also pay on the principal of that loan if you're able to make payment. You're not required to, but it's always good to stay on top of that debt the best that you're able if you're able to make payment. What is changing, and this is truly student by student specific, and it will be for those new grad students who are first entering into a program after July 1st, this will be the new rule. The aggregate amount of student loan that a person can borrow will be capped at $100,000, but that does not include their undergraduate loans. Today, a graduate student can borrow up to $138,500, but that includes any undergraduate debt they may have incurred as well. So as a dependent student, they could have borrowed up to $31,000 as a dependent undergraduate student, and then they would have had the difference to borrow at the graduate level. For graduate students who are enrolled in their program of study and have had a dispersed loan prior to July 1, 2026, you will have what they're calling legacy provisions, and you will still fall under the $138,500 that you can borrow as a graduate student. So if you are wondering whether or not you qualify for those legacy provisions, we certainly can talk through that with you in the office. A couple of things to remember as we move forward over the next 3 years, because the legacy provisions are only around for 3 years, is that you do have to stay continuously enrolled, which means you can take summer off, but that means you have to be here in both the fall and winter semesters. We are still waiting for proposed and final rules on this, so things could change, but this is what we know as of today. The bigger hit is that through this one big beautiful bill, HR 1, they have eliminated Graduate Plus loans. So that means any student first entering a graduate program after July 1st will be ineligible for Graduate Plus borrowing. But for those students who are currently in their program of study, remain continuously enrolled, and have borrowed a loan of some type, whether it be unsubsidized or Grad Plus, they will continue to have 3 years of Graduate Plus eligibility. And so we are tracking this closely. Like I said, we are still waiting on proposed and final rules, but we want to talk with graduate students to let you know whether or not you are grandfathered into these programs should you have questions on that. We have also created a website, which you can see in the bullet under the Graduate Plus section, where we are doing our best as possible to track the changes, and as we get guidance and clarifications to update that website. We have sent out 2 communications to graduate students about these changes. And so we are hoping as graduate students think about the remaining portion of their degree program that they're talking with us about how this may impact them, or perhaps won't impact them at all for those currently enrolled because of the legacy provisions. The other thing, as a result of OB3, as I like to call it, the one big beautiful bill, OB3, is that for the first time ever, we will be required to, they're not calling it proration, but they are calling it a student loan reduction for students who are enrolled less than full time. There is no legacy provision around this. So here at Oakland University, full time for graduate students is 8 credit hours, half time is 4 credit hours. So if a student is going to attend something other than full time, we do have to reduce that student's annual loan eligibility based on the percentage of credits that they will be attending. Again, we are waiting for a lot of guidance on this, but what we believe this to mean right now is that our expected enrollment for full-time for a graduate student would be 8 credit hours each semester, or 16 credit hours between fall and winter. If a graduate student chose to only attend or could only attend 4 credit hours in each of the fall and winter semesters, they would only be eligible for half of the $20,500, and their unsubsidized loan would have to be reduced down to $10,250. This is the first time ever that we have had to do this, and that will be with loans first originated for the 26-27 school year. Some other things that have changed, through this OB3 bill, is that they are changing the payment plans available to students. I'm not necessarily terribly upset about these changes because they did introduce the repayment assistance plan as a new payment option. That payment plan does cap a student's repayment between 1% and 10% of their adjusted gross income once they're required to start making payments, with a $10 minimum monthly payment and up to a 30-year repayment period. And it also, I don't have this on the slide, but it also does cap interest accumulation so that there's no, not the negative impact of interest accumulating upon itself as we have today. And they also still have a standard repayment plan with fixed payment terms of 10, 15, 20, or 25 years, depending on the amount of student loans that a borrower has borrowed in their education. Current borrowers, so those of you grad students who maybe are currently borrowing and won't borrow after July 1, 2026 at all, could still elect to go into a standard graduated extended or current income-based repayment plan. And so we are strongly encouraging student loan borrowers to work with their student loan servicers once they stop out of school, or hopefully more realistically graduate, to work with those student loan servicers to make sure they are in the correct repayment plan, and that repayment plan will fit their future income that they are expecting to earn. Okay, and moving off of federal aid, and I'll move quickly through the rest of this. There is some financial aid beyond federal aid available to Oakland University students. Unfortunately, at the state level, there really isn't graduate aid, but here at Oakland University, we do have our OU annual scholarships. We have an application cycle that opens every December 1st and closes March 1st. This is a competitive scholarship process where students submit an application and they are matched with scholarships that are meant for grad students, perhaps in certain degree programs or other qualifying criteria. So that did launch on December 1st for the 26-27 school year, and we would encourage you to submit that application. We also, as has been demonstrated, we do also have graduate assistantships available. And that is, if you're able to obtain a graduate assistantship, it's a nice way in which to earn money for the work that you're doing, but also to receive help towards your tuition. And so we would encourage you to check out graduate assistantships if that's something that you're interested in. And then, of course, there's also the KCP Fellowship, where students who are looking to have faculty teaching careers in the future could receive financial assistance through the KCP Fellowship, and that is an application process that they apply for, and if selected, that they would receive some funding for. So there are some links or some URLs on my screen where more information can be found, but essentially, if you get to the financial aid website, we have a button for graduate students, and then that information is housed under that section of our website. Of course, we would always encourage every student, including graduate students, to seek out as much private donor support as you're able to find. So, what I tend to say to students is the worst thing somebody can say to you is no, but why not ask? And so in your networks of support through professional organizations or social or religious foundations or employers or parents' employers or anywhere you can think to ask, see if there's any money available. We process millions of dollars of outside private donor money that has nothing to do with processes at OU that students are able to secure on their own through scholarship searches. And so we would recommend that you ask whomever you may know, and the worst thing that they can tell you is no, they don't have money available. One of the things that we are now kind of feeling the pinch that might have to support graduate education more than it ever has is through private lending because of the elimination of the Grad Plus loan for those borrowers who otherwise don't qualify for legacy provisions. And so we did launch a tool this past fall semester on our website that provides kind of like a one-stop shop where borrowers can look at private loan options. It represents every lender that our students have borrowed through in the previous academic year. It allows you in one place to view those lenders' loan options, interest rates, repayment terms, how you qualify, whether or not a cosigner is needed. So it gives you kind of a place to shop before you actually apply for any of that type of funding. We would, of course, always encourage maximizing your federal aid first because there are other benefits such as the current public student loan forgiveness. But then beyond those federal options, if private options are needed, this is a way in which students can help to finance their education. Okay, I'm going to kind of switch away from financial aid for a minute. As I said, we are the customer service for student accounts on campus. And so we will begin sending 26-27 financial aid offers to returning students towards the end of January. And we did actually send out some new student financial aid offers this week to graduate students, but that's only for new students that we had FAFSAs for. Returning student information should start to send at the end of January for next school year so that you can get everything settled for the following fall semester before you begin registration processes. Equally important, we do have payment due dates. So upcoming here in another week is the winter bill due date, December 15th. And it is important that you either have paid your bill in full, have financial aid that will cover your bill, or you are registered in a payment plan so that you aren't experiencing any type of registration holds or late payment penalties when that bill is due for the upcoming winter semester. And then you can see on my screen also when summer and fall bills will be due. Okay, that's kind of a summary of what is happening in the world of financial aid right now. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Nicole. I spent a lot of time in the financial aid office as an undergrad and a grad student. Not so much grad, but I never really knew what was going on. But it was always an intimidating experience. So thank you. I mean, I wish I had a session like this with someone to explain the process for me because the transparency does make it less intimidating. So appreciate that. Um, uh, Jesse.
Morning, everyone. Hopefully, you can
Morning.
all hear me well. My name is Jesse Hurst. I serve Oakland University as the Interim Dean of Students and the Deputy Title IX Coordinator. It's a pleasure to have this distinction and to share some knowledge and insight with you all. And I'm hopeful that through this process that we all learn a little bit more about some of the support and resources that are available for all students to partake in on campus, but also ways that faculty and staff can work together in supporting our students and getting them over the finish line. Because as Nicole mentioned in her presentation, it's extraordinarily important now more than ever that we focus on getting students to think about their finish if they're going to start this journey. So I get asked a lot, what do you do? And it changes by the day. I'm gonna be honest with you. Okay. During none of our admissions colleagues are on here, are they? I don't think. But during um, uh, summer like admission programs and tours, or even during the orientation piece, I will sometimes just kind of listen to when they pass by the dean of students office to see how they are describing our services. And what I hear is that this is like the principal's office. Okay. Now, I was always a good student, I think, when I was in grade school, but I never wanted to go to the principal's office for any reason. So I never understood, why are we telling that to college students? Okay. What they were getting at is what reputationally our bread and butter is known for, and what we're known for in the dean of students office is enforcing the university student code of conduct. The student code of conduct is a set of rules and values that you all agree to abide by, being a member of this Oakland University community. And if there are any violations of those rules and policies, then our office is deemed the appropriate place for you to come in, have these conversations, and discuss preventative measures where we can mitigate those issues and concerns, but for you to continue to develop and grow and move forward as a student and be successful. So that's what they mean by like the principal's office. It's the disciplinary arm of the university. Right? I can't really escape that reputation. I don't really want to either, because it's a very important and critical feature of the university. But overall, what the dean of students office exists for is to be your advocate. We're here to help you with any type of challenging situation that you face that could be a potential roadblock or barrier for you moving forward through your academic program and having overall success. And those challenges can look like a multitude of things. Um, as I was sitting here listening to Dr. Perdue and Director Bulk talk, and Charlie, I was actually thinking about my own graduate school experience. And I'm gonna be honest with you all, in transparent. In grad school, a lot of stuff happened to me. It was one weekend in particular, my apartment got flooded, my car got robbed, and then I got hit walking out of a Target parking lot. That was a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'll never forget that. Right? My grandmother passed away when I was a graduate student. My father had open heart surgery when I was a graduate student. My mother died when I was a graduate student. There was a lot of things that impacted my ability to remain a student during my graduate student years. And the only way that I got through it was because I knew of certain resources and support to help me. So in October of this year. I can't recall what event I was leaving out of, but I was just kind of standing around, and okay, if I'm in a crowd, I will be noticed. I can't help that, right? I have this huge stature. Okay. So there was a colleague of mine who saw me. They had a question that they've been dying to ask me, so they made a beeline towards me. They introduced themselves, like, "Hi, how are you doing?" All of those things, and then they asked me this question: "What does the dean of students office do for grad school students?" And I was confused. I was legit confused by that question, and I asked, "What do you mean?" And they rephrased the question a different way, but they were basically asking, like, I know that you do a lot to help undergraduate students, but what do you do for our grad students? And I thought, like, wow, this is a real issue. individuals don't realize that the same services that we provide undergrads go to any student, whether they're a graduate student, a doctoral student, a student who's just coming in, trying to get a certification in one of those programs. If they are a guest student, it doesn't matter. If you have a Grizzly ID and you are enrolled in at least one credit hour, the services that we provide are here and essential for you. And those services can look like they can look like a lot of things. For out of our office in general, we um, provide emergency funding resources for students. So if you are impacted by some type of emergency situation, and it's outside of your control, I can give you a couple examples. Um, you can't pay your rent for um, where you live. You need help paying for some of your utilities. You need to have tires put on your car. Um, uh, uh, a rock hit your windshield and chipped it, and you have to pay your deductible. You're having issues paying for your phone bill or internet bill or things of that nature, then our office is a place where you can go to seek assistance. We work really close with Director Bulk and her team in first getting students connected with the Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships to see if there are any additional monies that they may be able to utilize, but ultimately if everything has been exhausted through financial aid, then we will give the students the access to submit a request for this emergency funding. And the emergency funding can be given up to $500 at currently. So that's one thing. There's a bereavement policy that the university has that is kind of administered out of our office. So prior to joining this call this morning, I looked in there. I saw a notice from one of our student athletes whose father unfortunately passed away last night due to a car accident. They were participating in some type of event away from campus, and they need resources to get back home. So we figured out a way for the student to hop on a flight to get to Southwest Michigan so that they can be there for their family. But also, what we're doing in that vein is reaching out to that student's professors to alert them of this tragic situation and to advocate that they can have at least the incomplete as we finish out this semester, and then we can regroup with them to figure out what other things that they would need in order for them to be successful with just completing this term. If they want to take the final exam at another date, if they just want to drop the classes altogether, like things of that nature is what our office will be very instrumental in helping to resolve. So that's another policy that comes out of our office. And then a third or an additional one that's really popular is what is called the request for exception. Students refer to it as the medical withdrawal. So if there are any medical situations or circumstances that you experience during the semester in question, and it's preventing you from performing well academically, then you can work with our office to submit the information so that you're not held accountable for any type of academic penalty, or in some cases, a financial penalty. We're able to work with students on addressing those key things. So those are just a few of the policies and things that our office will be very hands-on in resolving. We're helping students get connected to mental health resources. We're helping students get connected to any type of housing resources if they are feeling any type of homelessness or housing insecurities. We're sending students to Charlie and into other areas within the Pontiac area if they're having any type of food insecurities. We've helped students find cars and transportation so they can get back and forth to campus. We help students get in touch with um, 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 state agencies to help with some of their living assistance, whether that's SNAP or things of that nature. Um, um, and then there's the whole behavioral intervention piece that our office will be instrumental in spearheading. So there's a team on campus. The acronym is ACT, ACT. It stands for the Assessment and Care Team. And this is a group of individuals who will come together, usually on a biweekly basis, and we are reviewing any type of information that could be considered a threat or concern for any member of our campus community, whether those individuals are faculty, staff, or students. In our office, chairs that process and procedures in conjunction with the OUPD department. So how do you reach us if you need any support, any assistance, any guidance? There's a multitude of ways. What we refer students to do is email us. That is the most effective means. So students can email Dean of Students at oakland.edu. Dean of Students is all one word. You can also email me individually or any other member of our office individually if you have those contact informations, and we'll provide a much needed support and assistance to you. Our website is extraordinarily instrumental. The website is oakland.edu/Dean of Students. And then on the top right corner of the Oakland University website, no matter what page you are on, you will be able to see this link. There's a link at the top right that says Report Concerns. If you click on that link, it'll take you to a landing page that highlights several different issues or concerns that may impact a student. If you click on that on the report concerns page, and then go to that landing page and click on any of those buttons, it'll take you to the appropriate links to share any type of concerning information, threatening information, harmful situation um, that has impacted you or any other member of the community. And I looked at it just a little while ago, and I didn't realize that in some manner, the Dean of Students Office plays a role in each and every one of them. So if any of you click on those links and submit a form in any of those areas, it will somehow get back to me in some way, and then I can be there to support, to assist, to advocate, and ensure that there's someone who is there for you and in your corner and doing the things that we can to make sure that you can get through this challenging situation and remain a student here as best as possible.
Wow.
So that's the Dean of Students Office.
Thank you for that. Again, I've been in spaces where people assert that the dean of students either doesn't serve graduate students or they're not sure exactly what they do for graduate students. So this is this is really important, and so I'm glad that we have you on this panel. Um,
Like I said, when I was a graduate student, that's actually when life started to hit. So I
mhm,
understand full well some of the challenges that grad students are facing, and
yeah,
I'm available. I wouldn't have got to where I'm at if I didn't
without
know
it.
how to navigate the college system and support structures.
Yeah.
And now hearing that grad students don't know that our services are for them is a real
hmm
problem that I need to address.
hmm Thank you for that. Um, David, and after David, we're going to open it up for questions.
Well, thank you. I'm Dr. Dave Schwartz. As mentioned earlier, I'm the director of the OU Counseling Center. And I just got to say, thank you for having me, Dr. Sule. This is a wonderful event. Much like Dean Hurst said, if I had an event like this when I was a grad student, I think I would have found it very useful, all of this information, particularly the financial aid stuff, but that was always such a mystery to me when I was a grad student. So wonderful event. Thank you for having me. Also, much like Dean Hurst, I always love it when people ask me what my job entails or what's a typical day like. And my honest but somewhat snarky answer is always, there's no such thing as a typical day as a director of a counseling center at a mid-sized university. But that's one of the things I love about this job. As the director there, I oversee obviously the operations of the center, the administrative part of it, budgeting, policy, things like that. I also supervise the staff, supervise our interns, but I'm a clinical psychologist. That's where my training is, and that's where my true passion lies. I love helping students, and I love meeting, so I still carry a caseload of students I meet with as well. We all are generalists in the counseling center. I like to describe the counseling center as the community mental health resource for OU students, and that's all OU students, not just undergrads, grads as well. We're the one-stop shop for any type of mental health well-being needs on campus. And so we're all generalists, meaning we work with all sorts of different things, but we also have different specialties within there. Two of my specialties are I work with a lot of our neurodivergent students on campus, so students on the spectrum or students with ADHD. I have seminars I do with them, work one-on-one and do group work with them. I also work with a lot of our LGBTQ students, particularly students exploring gender identity. That's a specialty of mine too, and I also help co-host a group for that as well. But we have other specialists in the center. We have a trauma specialist. We have an eating disorder specialist. This year, we're lucky enough to have a graduate intern who is a specialist in working with international students as well, because I know a lot of graduate students are international students. So that's been a real bonus to have that this year too. So my job it's pretty much every day it's something different, and I love that. I also, prior to becoming director, for the first 3 years I was here, I was the outreach coordinator. So when I took over as director, I still oversee a lot of our outreach services, and those are things like workshops, groups, tabling, events, fairs, some of the fun stuff we get to do around campus. So that's a little bit about me and my job. I want to share my screen just for a few slides here to tell you a little bit about our services. So let me do that. All right, hopefully everybody can see this okay. But yeah, just want to give you a quick update about our current operations. First, I'm going to say, first and foremost, the counseling center has not been affected of what's happening on campus right now. So we are open, business as usual, 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. Our groups, and we'll talk a little bit about those more in a second, but they have been moved mostly online just because a lot of students aren't on campus right now. But we are operating business as usual. So we're located in the Graham Health Center building. We share a lobby with them. We're on the right-hand side, they're on the left-hand side, which is actually a really major bonus because we work very closely with the Graham Health Center. We share a lot of students who are, struggling with mental health reasons, and they might be on medications. And so we consult a lot very, very closely. And as well, we work very closely with the Dean of Students office. I'm really happy that Dean Hurst is getting the message out. They are not the principal's office. I mean, honestly, I can't think of another office on campus that advocates for students more than the Dean of Students office. And I've been here, and we're on my 19th year now, and I've seen them help so many students over the years get through their degrees, help them with all sorts of situations. So about the counseling center, just to let students know, we are a short-term model, so it's up to 15 sessions, but that's not a hard cap, meaning that we know that most students tend to get what they need from us within 15 sessions, but not everybody. So about 10% of our caseload ends up staying a little bit longer, and we just treat that on a case-by-case basis. A lot of times it has to do with maybe a student who either doesn't have insurance or for a variety of reasons can't use their insurance. Because we do refer out, we have a wonderful referral list of local therapists in the community that we can refer to. I believe there's now 4 people on that list that I've referred my own friends and family to. So really, in order to make it on our list, somebody in the building has to have known the person personally or vetted the person. So but we know that not everybody can get off campus right now too, so we try and be flexible with that. But for most students, they are able to get what they need from us within that 15 session limit. The first 4 sessions are free, and the next $11 or $20 copay session. However, this is really important. We never, ever let finances become an obstacle for students getting the help they need. So, and we make it really easy. We want to remove all barriers. If you are on a tight budget, and a lot of grad students I know are on a tight budget, $20 could be 2 or 3 meals during the week, right? All you have to do when you get past those 4 free sessions is just let your therapist know. We don't make you fill anything out. We don't make you prove it or anything. We trust you. And we have an emergency fund of money that we can then apply to cover your copay, so it can be no fee at all. So please make sure, if you're worried about finances, that's not an obstacle for getting our services with us. So, and so, yeah, one of the main services we do is therapy. And then a couple other things I wanted to highlight too, and I'll tell you a little bit more about some of the other services. But one thing I wanted to highlight is our Grizz Recovery Program. I don't know if many people know about this. It's in its 2nd year, but really we relaunched it last year. So that was really kind of the first big year last year. This is a collegiate recovery program, and this is a program for any students, undergrad or graduate, who are in sobriety, exploring sobriety, who are exploring any type of their journey with maybe potential struggles with alcohol, substance, or other addictions. It can be gambling addiction, sex addiction, things like that. This is a place where students can come. They can have weekly meetings with our coordinator, Sarah Cooper. They can do one-on-one meetings. We have AA groups run. We have a student organization that is affiliated with this now too. They do all sorts of fun events. We did a color walk in October. We also had like a sober spooktacular Halloween event too. We've got some more exciting events coming up in the winter. So if you have any questions about that, just reach out to me or Sarah Super. Our emails are on our website. The other thing I want to highlight too is in addition to individual counseling and crisis work that we do, we also offer groups, and these are completely free. Students can go to as many of these as they want, and they can register ahead of time by going to our website, but you don't have to. You can just show up. And if you go to our website, you'll see a complete listing of all the groups being offered and what topics they're covering even that particular day and where they're located. I personally oversee 2 of the groups. I run a group on Thursday mornings for our neurodivergent students, the support group. And then I also run co-lead a group with collaboration with the Gender and Sexuality Center for students exploring gender identity, and that's on Tuesday afternoons. Dr. Goldwire, he's our group coordinator, so he runs the bulk of them. I think he has 8+ groups running each week right now. Our 2 most popular groups are probably our Adulting 101 group, which is basically a group started out as a social anxiety group and quickly morphed into all the things in life that are stressful about becoming an adult, right? And so that's been a very popular group. And a lot of Dr. Goldwire groups are more structured like mini workshops. So he has another group that's called Academic Success and Stress, and that one might cover time management one day, or test anxiety another day, or study skills another day. But in addition to that, we offer specific groups tailored for graduate students, because we know, like, as a graduate student, I probably wouldn't have felt super comfortable going to a group if I knew it was all undergrad students there, because it might not be the same things that they're going through that I'm dealing with too. So each year we specifically offer at least a minimum of 3 each semester groups tailored towards graduate students. But we're always open to adding more groups at any time. So if there's any specific groups of graduate students who are want a particular issue covered, I know other universities, an idea I learned about a couple of years ago was some universities have a dissertation support group for people who are working on their dissertation. I love that idea. I think I would have very much been an attendee of that group if they had that at my university when I was working on my dissertation. So that's one of the ideas Dr. Goldwine and I have floated around. So we're always open to adding more groups as well. So just a little bit more about the counseling. We do counseling, we do crisis work. It's important to know that we have people on standby every single day for walk-in appointments, urgent or crisis appointments. We also, we get busy during the semester and we can sometimes develop a wait list. I have good news, knock on wood, as of right now, we actually just got through the wait list, real small wait list we had in November, but we got through it. So they're currently, the only wait time to get in right now is just the normal process time to get in. But we also know sometimes students just need to get in that day. So we have same day appointments available. All they have to do is come right on over to the window, let us know. If you can call ahead of time and let us know too. Occasionally you might have to wait an hour if everybody's already meeting with somebody, but typically you're able to get in right away. So while we do crisis work, we do, like I said, we do workshops. We do other tabling events for maybe career fairs, things like that. And then we also offer, the modality is in person, but we also offer virtual and phone appointments too. That's one of the silver linings of the pandemic, is when I was hoping that we could get teletherapy as an option for years here, and that really kind of just moved things forward quickly, and we got that, and it's here to stay now. I think for grad students in particular, that's useful because grad students are some of the busiest students on campus, and finding a time to come in for an appointment can be a stress, right? So now you can do it virtually. We also have lunchtime appointments. We try with our grad student clients to really be flexible to work around their schedules because we know one of the toughest things being a grad student is that work-life balance, right? One other thing I wanted to highlight too is hopefully people know about this, but this is a service we started using last year. It's a third-party supplemental teletherapy service that we use. And it's a great service. I was part of the process that vetted them. And this is one of the companies that provides teletherapy that is not a tech company. They are a helping company, a teletherapy company. They vet their therapists really well. I've talked with a couple of their therapists that work with them. I know a couple. They're excellent. And it has three main components to it. One of the main components is it can act as a after-hours crisis line. But the truth is it's available 24/7, and it can be for any reason at all. So it could be at midnight when somebody might be feeling suicidal. They can call that, and their wait time is under a minute. So in under a minute, you are connected with a licensed professional crisis counselor in the state of Michigan. It could be also on a Tuesday at 2 o'clock, and in an hour you have your final exam and you're having a panic attack. You could call for that reason, or a breakup. Any reason at all, 24/7, you call and you will be connected with a licensed crisis counselor. And for that, you do not need to register for UWIL. Anybody can use it. I do recommend you register though, because when you're in a crisis, it's always hard to think clearly. So if it's already there right on your phone, it's going to be much easier to access. And also, if you register, you get two other things involved with that. One is that all students who register get 3 30-minute sessions with the ability to choose the therapist. And I would say there's two huge advantages of this. And particularly for grad students, I think one of these is really important because I know a lot of grad students are international students, and maybe they want a therapist that speaks their background language or want somebody who understands their ethnicity or their background or their demographics. Well, you can go on UWIL and you can actually select a therapist. And I think we're up to like 15 different languages that have been found for students requesting. Just to give you an example of one is last year, somebody requested a therapist that speaks Creole, and they were able to find one in Michigan to do that for them. So that's been a very successful component of this too. The other big part about this is available all year. So while we're open right now, we're open all the way up until the university closes. So even the week after finals, we are still open, business as usual, but we do close over the winter break. But UWIL does not close over the winter break. So you could set up and have a couple sessions with a therapist in between while you're waiting to come back on campus to see your therapist there. Or if you're having a crisis situation at home over break. Quick plug too, speaking of break, 2 weeks ago, we put together a guide for navigating the holidays and being mentally healthy and having well-being during that time, because I know for a lot of students, and again, for a lot of grad students in particular, these can be very stressful times because you're still working, you may be away from home, or you have to go back home, and now to try and balance those home needs with the graduate school needs, it's a lot, right? So please utilize this over the break, either the crisis line or the therapies. It's there to support students. So okay, that's enough of my slides, but I still wanted to talk a little bit about kind of what we do for grad students. One thing I will say, like a lot of the people you've heard talk today, those of us in the counseling center are intimately familiar with the stresses, the rigors, the unique challenges of grad school, because we have all been in grad school. One of our senior staff is currently in grad school working on her PhD. So we have 5 senior staff who work in the counseling center that are full-time, plus a part-time split position with athletics. And then we have 2 part-time therapists that work with us as well. And we have PhDs, PsyDs, MFWs, LPCs, really worked hard to try and create our clinic to have a really diversity of backgrounds and training, because I think, the research shows that makes you a stronger clinic when you have a multimodality type center or multidiscipline center. So we hopefully have somebody for everybody there too. But yeah, we're intimately familiar with the rigors of graduate school, and we have some of our therapists are graduate trainees. And so we have a doctoral and a master's level practicum or internship for students. So our doctoral students come from local universities around the state, sometimes from out of state. They're usually PhD or PsyD students. Currently, we have interns that are MFW students from OU's MSW school, and master's in counseling students from the counseling program as well too. So not only do the senior staff therapists know about grad school, you could be meeting with a therapist who is currently in grad school, who knows it very well. And also, on that note, we do accept interviews and applications for like next year's graduate internship. So from the students from the Master's in Social Work program and the counseling program, we encourage them to apply to come work with us. So so that's some of the things we do. I've already mentioned the groups we do for grad students. We have done tailored workshops specifically for grad students in the past. I know we've worked with the med school, with some of the grad nursing programs as well. So if anybody has a topic they want covered, just reach out to me, and usually there's a good chance we'll be able to do it. We also help a lot with the medical withdrawal process with the Dean of Students. So if that's something that comes up, we can be advocate for students. Couple things that we're thinking about for the future I wanted to mention too is I'm working hard this winter to try and create a new graduate assistant position. Because as you probably can tell from the numbers, we're a low staff counseling center, so we all have many different hats. And one of our greatest needs is having somebody who could do more of our case management work to take that off our plate. So I'm exploring the idea of creating a GA position for that. And then one of the other projects I'm working on is exploring the idea of having different departments around the university fund part-time therapist positions that can be a dedicated liaison for that department. And one of my ideas is to have a part-time professional therapist who is a dedicated liaison for the graduate students at Oakland University. I think that could very easily fill a huge need, because then you would have somebody that could specifically work with grad students, intimately learn about the different grad programs at OU, offer workshops, offer training, support groups that specifically tailored just for grad students. So fingers crossed, those are two things I'm going to be working hard on in the next coming month or two here, and hopefully we'll get those approved. But yeah, I think that I know I said a lot there and said it really quick. I think that covered most of it. I just want to say, don't be a stranger. I know one of the hardest things to do is to make that choice to call and ask for help. It's a scary situation, right? You're expected to go to a strange building to meet a new person you've never met before, and now all of a sudden open up about the hardest things to talk about, right? But I promise you, once you make that first step, students almost never regret it. Like even if you're just coming for 1 or 2 sessions, just to bounce your ideas off of somebody, it can be a tremendous resource for students, especially grad students who have so many unique pressures and stresses with their lives right now. So, okay, I'll stop now.
No, thank you for that. It's a wealth of information. So we have about 15 minutes. So we're going to use that time for Q&A. So for our graduate students who are present, feel free to write a question in the chat, or you can raise your hand and ask a question if you would like. But we will spend the next few minutes trying to get those questions answered for you. And we'll ask Maddie, we'll just ask each person like one question given the time. And then if we need to cycle back, we can do that as well. So do you want to start?
Yes, just one moment, please. I'm pulling up, but I'm lagging.
I can
Of
start.
course.
I can start.
It is on campus Wi-Fi.
I'll
So
ask Charlie. I'll ask Charlie a question. Um, well, you kind of answered it when you said that people can use, because I had a twofold question. Can students receive services anonymously? Is that an issue for students? And then, do you have a current need for donations?
Yeah, so as I kind of touched on earlier, students are able to come in and get our services completely anonymously. All we require for them is a name, just in case they lose their card, just so that we can pull up their card number easier, so that we can keep on tracking numbers and things like that. But it doesn't have to be their real name; it just
Yeah.
has to be something memorable. And then when it comes to donations, a lot of the time, what we ask for the most is monetary donations, just
Hmm.
because we can buy things in bulk and we do that monthly, just to like supplement the donations that we get
Okay.
from our campus community. So we do love monetary donations. We've got a link on our website so people can do that. Also, we love getting just like food donations and hygiene products donations. We're not currently accepting clothing donations just because we are still in that transition period and we don't really have room for Grizz garments right now, unfortunately. We're just in like a big square room, and in our old space we had like a separate room
Definitely.
for Grizz garments, and so we don't really have the room for that right now. But that being said, We do love accepting like food items, like non-perishable food items, like canned goods and dry goods. Mac and cheese is a big hit with students. Same with like ramen. We also perishables
Yeah.
fly off our shelves, as I touched on it as well. So like butter, yogurt, milk, fruits and
Okay.
veggies, all of those things fly off our shelves. Like we got a donation of like literally like 20 sticks of butter on Wednesday, and
Hmm.
they were gone by Thursday. And we only had like a few people that were coming into our pantry because people didn't really know that it was open. So like butter goes so quick, and as it should. Um,
Okay.
and then we also love accepting feminine hygiene products and toilet
Hmm.
paper, paper towels. All of those things go pretty quick too. Um, and we also love having individually wrapped snack foods. We have a grab and go snack cart. I forgot to mention this earlier, but
Hmm.
with our snack cart, it's right outside of our door. And in case like someone's afraid or nervous to come into our pantry and they just want to like
Yeah.
stop by quickly, or if they do have a card with us and they just can't take time to shop, it's just got like basic stuff on the cart. So like snack foods and like ramen and feminine hygiene products, and like it's got
Hmm.
a few bags so people can just stuff their bags full. We do keep track of like the poundage on that every single day, so students and anyone that's available in the OU community to stop by can,
Okay.
and that kind of keeps the anonymity going. So yeah. And
Great.
also, if
Great.
you are interested in like looking at what we need or our needs for the pantry donation wise, you can always check out our website. We have a list right there. So,
Oh, okay. Okay. I
mhm,
didn't know that. Great.
yeah.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Maddie, you want to jump in for Dr. Perdue?
For sure. So I have actually had tons of experience with Dr. Perdue, both as a graduate student and also just as a potential employer. And I've been snatched up by graduate assistantships all 3 years, so I want to apologize for that. But I do have a question regarding some of the work that you do with graduate students, in that what is the biggest pattern that you see with graduate students in their writing?
Um, well, I can say there are patterns. There's not one big pattern, but I'd say for students who are coming in from undergraduate situations that didn't involve doing research, we found that typically if they have done anything that looked like a literature review, it really was more of an annotated bibliography. And so they found resources kind of more randomly than um, uh, through a very a process where they vetted and scoured through things and found a representative sample, because most undergraduate programs don't dig that deep, right? And what happens is that the skills for research that you get as undergrads, well, they're not adequate for that next stage. And a lot of the work that I've seen early on is people getting stuck because they spend, let's say they're working on a master's degree and maybe they're writing a paper for a conference or they're writing a chapter for a dissertation. And they come in with a first draft of what's supposed to be a review of all the literature that has informed previous scholars' ideas and is going to set the stage for their study. And what we find is it's really an annotated bibliography and drag. It moves from one study to the next study. So the themes get revisited every third paragraph. And it's helping them to understand how to search the literature in conjunction with librarians. I mean, we don't do it on our own, but also how to determine what are, the most important themes, and then how to group information. And, I'm sure that these things were covered in classes. And I'm also sure that faculty are often available to talk about it, but people are intimidated. And because we're a peer-run service, we can get them in and we start looking, and you see that deflated look, kind of like, look, I have 40 pages. And then we look through it and we're like, hey, this is great. We get out, sometimes we color code it. We say, it's not all for naught here. This is an easy fix. And I'm glad you came in. And we start talking them through. And, what are the talking points that repeat in the literature? Like if you had to give a presentation to the best and the brightest in the field, what talking points would you have to mention so they would understand this? And what studies or what theories and stuff most relate to it? And then we help them come up with their main themes, and then reorganize the literature and talk about how there's strength, that there's beauty and strength in repetition. So it's not a bad thing if three studies all say something very similar, that's actually something that we can show. And teaching them, and it's funny, it's like teaching them to go back to things like literature reviews need topic sentences too. So you don't
Mm.
want a literature review to start with Jones 2008 said X. No, we want it to start with an idea, and then we move to Jones 2008. And when we frame it like that, and we know that they were just like reading and taking notes deeply and things like that. And then here's where I'm seeing a challenge. We have generative AI. I've been fortunate to spend the last 2.5 years working with the two of the biggest organizations in language and literature who have a task force on writing and AI. And I also head up one for the International Writing Centers Association. And we are seeing some misunderstanding of what Gen AI can and can't do. I will tell you, Gen AI can write summaries of articles, and it's gotten better. It's not human, it's not sentient, it's a pattern aggregator, right? But the problem with relying on generative AI to do that part of it is that you are not now privileged to the thinking and how to read a study and how to pick up that, wow, I read this article and this theme emerged. And then I read this next article and this theme emerged. And how are they framing it differently? And where the problem really comes in is when people take those summaries, that information, and then they rely on generative AI to do the synthesis for them. And I'll tell them, yeah, as an expert in a field, there are topics that I know so well that if I were inclined to do that, I could put my, articles into generative AI and ask it to do it. And I would be able to vet it because I could go through and say, oh no, that's not what they said. Like I tested 9 different models, and one of the models, I'm well known for replicable, aggregable data supported research and for helping redefine writing center research. And in one of the models, it came out and said that I was an expert in well renowned for asynchronous writing center work. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I don't do that at all. And so when you're a grad student and you're a novice and you're learning, you don't necessarily pick up on those mistakes. So you're responsible for it. And you also think about, how I'm blending your two questions together, how those kinds of decisions are going to affect your reputation, how the faculty view you. So I think it's really important that people understand that they're wonderful tools that can be used in our research. Like there is a aggregator for research articles. It creates a web called Cite. And you can subscribe to it and put in the articles, the names of articles that you've read, and it can pull up a web of several other articles, and it can help you conceptualize like the field and who you should have in your discussion. And that's a wonderful way to use generative AI.
Mhm.
But we don't want to outsource our thinking, and we
Mhm.
have to learn how to summarize and synthesize. So that's the place where I find people struggling the most is making that transition from the kind of writing you do as an undergrad to the kind of writing
Mhm.
you do as a grad student.
All right, thank you so much for illuminating on that because actually for one of my scholarships, one of the questions was what poses the most significant threat to education in higher education? And I said generative AI. So this is like
And
on the
it's
back
funny because
end.
yesterday my colleague said that, and I said, no, we got to stop. Let generative AI does not have agency. We have to lay the blame at those who promote it in ways that are unscrupulous, or
Hmm.
they promote it as a counselor, right? They
Hmm.
promote it as a friend. They promote it as a tutor. No, it's none of those things. It is a tool in the hands of counselors. It's a tool in the hands of teachers. It is a tool in the hands of helping professionals, but it is not a replacement for any of those things. And so I said, let's lay the blame in institutions and individuals who choose to promote it in ways and to suggest that you now have your own tutor, your one-on-one tutor. No, you don't.
Thank you very much. I appreciate just being able to learn the back ends of things and what's been going on in higher education on the back burner.
I think unfortunately that will have to be our last question because we have 1 minute left and I want to be respectful of your time and it is Saturday. But I just have to say I am so appreciative of you participating in this panel. This is the first time I put something together like this where I had student services present what they offer and how they assist graduate students. So this was for me, extremely informative as a faculty person, and I get to share this information with my students. So I feel much more informed. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I don't see
This
any more
again.
questions. It was a great, oh, go ahead, Jesse.
I would love to do this again.
Yeah, I think we have to do this again. I think we have to do this again, and I'm going to make sure that we get this out to the students who couldn't make it. But I think that we're just going to ask graduate school to just send it to all of the students via their bulletin because I think the information here is so valuable. I mean, I
And I
learned a
think
lot.
sending it to the
Yeah.
faculty and directors too.
You're right. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you for that. That's a good recommendation. For the students here, thank you for attending. Our next workshop will be in January. It's on presenting at a professional conference. So I hope to see you there. If you have additional questions, please feel free to email me, and I'm pretty sure I can forward them to our panel, and they will follow up. And with that, I will let you go. Thank you again. Um, have a great weekend.
Thank you.